It's a special preschool called Yikes Tikes, and my guests here on Comunidad del Valle are Alex Webster Gaini, and also she's a program director there with the school, and also Maisel Delgado. She's a parent there at the preschool. Welcome to the show. Tell us what makes, I saw your clip that we're going to show some clips of, but what makes your school unique, do you think?
One thing that is really wonderful about our school is that it is a parent co-op, which means that there's really a lot of parent involvement in their children's education in the classroom, and there's a great community of families who are together supporting Yikes Tikes. Additionally, we are an inclusive preschool, which means that we are in the classroom with both typical developing kids as well as atypical developers, children who may have disabilities. So there's a really wonderful sense that everybody is important and part of the classroom and equal partners.
Now we have a superintendent coming up next with the Elm Rock School District. How do you think a school like yours would prepare a child to enter the elementary school, the kindergarten classes, if they are kind of developmentally disadvantaged or whatnot?
Well, I think that kids who have developmental disabilities are always going to need support as they move through the school system. But starting early is really important. Also, we work with kids who may be at risk, who may not actually be identified as being disabled, but who have been maybe showing some signs, some red flags, and we're able to identify those kids early on and get them the services they need so they don't start out at a disadvantage. Additionally, the parent involvement is so important. If parents are in on the ground floor with what their kids are learning or maybe having trouble learning, they'll be much more conversant as the kids reach elementary school.
Very, very good point. Tell us about your family situation, Maisel, and why you chose this school.
So I have 3 children. I have a 8-year-old daughter who is actually developmentally delayed, and I have 2 sons, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. My daughter was attending a partner, a Yikes Tikes partner, and that's how I found out about the Yikes Tikes program. I began my 2-year-old there and enjoyed the program so much I actually pulled my 4-year-old out of the other preschool he was in to include him into the Yikes Tikes program. They get some exposure at home, being that I have a developmentally delayed daughter, but I think it's wonderful that they're learning from a young age. They are not different, and it's, you know, it's okay to communicate with these kids and have friendships with children who may not be, you know, a typical child.
And how do you teach your daughter to fight the stigma, if you will? Because it's going to be there whether we accept it or not. It'll always be there. There are other kids who might not understand the consequences of maybe any language they might use. So how does your daughter been able to handle it, and how do you suggest parents out there handle it as well? I think just as parents, we treat my daughter no different than we treat my 4-year-old and 2-year-old. Discipline-wise, praise-wise, you just teach them exactly, raise them exactly the same. There should be no difference. So, I mean, it's been a great program for my boys. They have learned so much in the time that they've been there. Teachers, wonderful, and I do think the parent involvement is definitely a huge key. Your child is getting free education, and you should be more than willing to donate your time to help your children and be prepared for kindergarten, because it's a huge step for them to take to go into the kindergarten. Absolutely, and you guys are all over the Bay Area, and there's a sliding scale if you need to pay a certain tuition?
We are actually operating on a membership basis. Our services are free to our members, and I should add that 70% of our members are Hispanic or from the Hispanic community, and so we operate based on donations, but we need all the help we can get as far as donations go. So there's no requirement, but as Maisel said, it's important to donate time as well as money.
As my child's school, she's in 2nd grade, and that school requires at least 30 hours of volunteer time, whether in the classroom or at the school period. But you think as a parent, how can you not spend 30 hours at minimum doing that? Talk about maybe what you've learned, being not forced, but being able to participate more with your children while they're going to school.
Just, them seeing the presence of you in the classroom, I think makes a really big difference. They're excited to show you what they've learned. They're excited to show you, what the teacher does with them in the classroom. It's, like I said, I think it's just a great way for them to get started with early education, having their parent involved, because as kids get older, they're going to need more of your involvement, obviously, when it comes to the sports and the education. So it's just great stepping stones to get where you need to be when your kids are in grammar school and high school.
What about those children who are not disadvantaged? Because I could see folks at home thinking, if my child is not disadvantaged and he's going to a school in a classroom that has children who are, is my child being held back? What's your response?
Absolutely not. There's actually been numerous studies done about this very issue because of all of the legislation that surrounds inclusion in the general education sector. There's no detrimental effects on a typical developer, and in fact, 95% of parents who bring their children to classrooms that are inclusive would choose to come back, would choose to do it again. I think also one very tangible benefit is that all of the therapeutic support that those developmentally delayed kids are receiving are in the same classroom as all the normal, typical developing kids. So those typical developers get all the therapeutic muscle, all of the professionalism, and all of the sort of the point of view of those therapists who are trained to help kids develop appropriate skills. So there is that very concrete benefit to those kids.
And I can see those children learning from each other on both sides, absolutely.
Absolutely.
They're called Yikes Tikes. There's a web address for more information. Any final thoughts? I know you have a couple of bowl-a-thons coming up.
Yeah, we'd like to invite everybody to our bowl-a-thon on March 23rd at Moonlight Lanes in Santa Clara. It's $20 a person, and all funding goes directly to Yikes Tikes.
All right, and is there two fundraisers? Or
Yes, there's also one in April in Fremont at Cloverleaf Bowl, so we hope to see everybody there.
All right, well, continued success.
Thanks a lot.
for the work that you all are doing. Thank you very much. And up next here on Comunidad del Valle, the Superintendent of the Elm Rock School District. Stay with us.